Okay, so we're going to break down a story that, well, it starts with a swipe right and ends in an absolute real-life horror show. And just to be clear, this is not fiction. This is a chilling, real account of how it looked like a perfect match just spiraled into a nightmare you could not even imagine.
And it all starts with this line, a line so many of you have probably typed or read yourselves. You know the drill, right? The narrator meets a guy, the chemistry's there, a real connection starts to happen. It's that exciting, hopeful beginning we all know. And that's exactly what makes the twist in this story so unbelievably creepy. All right, so let's talk about the promising connection. Before all the red flags start popping up, it's super important to get why our narrator felt so safe. I mean, this wasn't some rushed thing. They actually built a real foundation of trust, little by little. And that's what made the truth so much worse. So how did that trust get built? Well, it pretty much reads like a textbook for a great start to a modern relationship. They chatted for a few weeks, really building that rapport. Turns out they even had mutual friends, which, is always a good sign, that little bit of social proof. And when they finally met in person, the vibe was even better. He seemed really open, really vulnerable, and they bonded over something super personal, shared health struggles. And this is what really sealed the deal emotionally. He told her that his older sister had recently passed away from a health condition that was a lot like hers. I mean, talk about creating a powerful bond. He's confiding this huge, devastating loss in her. And because she could relate to the health part, she just felt this huge wave of empathy for him. To her, he wasn't some stranger to be worried about. He was just a guy trying to deal with this horrible grief.
Okay, now we get to the turning point. Escalating red flags. So feeling this really deep connection, the narrator agrees to go over to his house for the first time. And that's when everything changes. The second she walks in the door, her instincts just start screaming that something is very, very wrong.
The first red flag wasn't visual. It was a smell, an absolutely overpowering, gut-wrenching smell of decay, like 1,000 dead rats rotting under the floorboard. That is a primal alarm bell right there. But, what do? We try to explain it away. She immediately thinks, oh, maybe an animal died in the walls. It's that classic human thing, trying to find a normal reason for something completely messed up. Then came the second red flag. On top of the smell, there was just visual chaos. The house looked like a cluttered storage unit. It wasn't just messy, it was buried. It gave off this vibe of someone totally disconnected from their own home. That feeling of unease is just getting stronger and stronger. The place didn't feel lived in. It felt stuck. So, against her better judgment, she ends up falling asleep. When she wakes up, her head's a little clearer and her eyes drift over to his closet, and it's filled top to bottom with only women's clothes. So what do you think? Her brain jumps to the most logical, if awkward, conclusion. Oh my God, he has a girlfriend. I'm the side piece. But, the truth was so much worse than that. And then she spots this truly bizarre thing. A giant binder. Inside, the printed-out script of every single episode of The Golden Girls. He tells her it was his sister's favorite show, and he reads it to feel close to her. And this is one of those things that's right on the edge. It's either a kind of sweet, quirky tribute, or it's a massive sign of a really obsessive, unhealthy way of grieving. And this is where things go from just weird to genuinely horrifying. The fourth red flag. She looks down at the pillow she just slept on. There's no pillowcase, and it's covered in old, dried, coughed-up blood. We're not talking about clutter anymore. This is a stomach-turning direct link to sickness and death, right where her head was all night. So she asks him, is this your sister's room? And he doesn't just confirm it. He looks at her and says this is actually where I held her when she died, and you remind me so much of her. And just like that, his grief twists into something else entirely, something predatory. He's not just mourning his sister anymore. He's trying to replace her with our narrator, and suddenly his attention isn't sweet. It's terrifying. So now, the horrifying truth. At this point, you have to realize she's in a trap, a really scary one. She's in a dead woman's room with a man who is literally looking at her as a stand-in. But even then, with all that, she has no idea that the real horror is literally inches away from her. And her brain is just racing, connecting the dots. He said he held his sister right here when she died. The clothes are still here. He hasn't touched anything. He's obsessed. The awful logic starts to click into place, leading to one terrible question. If she died here, where is her body now? She accidentally drops her phone,
and it slides under the bed. So she reaches down to get it, and that's when she sees it. The source of that god-awful smell, the reason for his obsession, the final unimaginable truth. As she put it, under the bed was the rotten corpse of his dead sister staring right at me.
Okay, what do you even do in that situation? What happens next is, in its own way, just as incredible as the horror itself. Because in that moment of pure, paralyzing terror, a moment where most of us would just freeze up, her survival instincts kicked in with unbelievable clarity. She even says it herself, "I have no idea how I controlled my fear and pretended that everything was normal." But that control is exactly what saved her life. She knew, deep down, that if she let him know what she just saw, it could be a death sentence. So she puts on this mask of total calm, even though inside she's screaming.
And her escape plan was just brilliant and so simple. Step 1, conceal her fear. Act normal, don't provoke him. Step 2, create a diversion. She asks for a glass of water, something simple, totally normal, just to get him to leave the room. And step 3, the second he was in the kitchen, she didn't hesitate. She grabbed her bag and she just ran. And she makes it. She gets to her car, speeds away while he's screaming from the doorway. But getting away isn't the end of the story. It's really the beginning of the next chapter, the official resolution, and of course, the start of a lifetime of trauma for her. So what happened next? Well, things moved pretty fast. She drives off, he's screaming from the doorway. She immediately calls the police, tells them everything. A few days later, the police arrest him for keeping his sister's corpse. And the outcome? Given how deeply disturbed he obviously was, he was moved to a mental hospital for treatment. So the direct threat was gone.
But for her, the narrator, this experience was never really over. He might be locked away, but that memory isn't going anywhere. Her final reflection on it just says it all. To this day, his sister's dead face gives me sleepless nights. That one sentence tells you everything you need to know about the deep, permanent trauma she's left with. It's an image that literally haunts her.
Look, this story is obviously a terrifying, extreme case, but it taps into a really real, very modern fear, doesn't it? And it leaves us with this final, tough question. In a world of curated profiles and online dating, how can you truly know who you're meeting on the other side of the screen?